All right. Hello, good morning. Happy Friday, March 22nd. I'm so glad to be here today. Hosting this week has been a lot of fun. Before we get started, I want you guys to take a minute to really think back and express gratitude. I hope that song inspired some feelings of gratitude within you this morning. You are alive and you're here with us today. So please, please, please take this time to share in the comments what you're grateful for this morning, and let's start off on the right foot with some gratitude. So let's go ahead and read off some of your comments. Your sunshine, a day with family, yes. Having independence and a car of my own. Grateful for Christina, thank you. Pushing you out of your comfort zone. Family and puppy. Coffee and cream, yes. Gratitude for just living and having a heart to beat for me every second, amen. To have a whole weekend away from the hospital, wow, it's amazing. It's finally looking like spring. Yes, happy spring, you guys. Having my kids home for spring break, grateful to be waking up to so many opportunities, this community, pushing out of the comfort zone. Grateful to have a clear mind today, letting go of some guilt. Just knows his leaderships for the daily trainings, mindset, freedom. My hubby booking a surprise vacation to Mexico. Hey, take me. Husband's birthday, inspiring people to be better. Grateful it's cooler today because my up is on the UPS truck. Yeah, so you're just going to crack it open. Got it. Spring break, recharging my goals, having the energy to be a better mama, good health, and birthday spa day tomorrow. That's awesome. All right, you guys, there's so much to be grateful for. I absolutely love it. So before we get started, I wanted to quickly remind you guys some Pruvit announcements. Well, our team announcement is that last night I had the opportunity to interview our incredible rising legend, Katie Rose Olson, who's having her biggest month yet. I'm so freaking excited and proud of her. So please, please, please share that video out. It's on the Facebook page, COC Success Profiles. She's a 26-year-old wife and mom of two beautiful girls who's overcome so much adversity and has thrived and literally designed a beautiful life for her family. So please share it with anyone that is praying for an opportunity to better their lives and their family's lives. So that's going to be on the Facebook like page. And so today's going to be the last day of the March Madness promo, you guys. So we've got the Unleashed flavors. We've got the Eclipse and Ruby Rush. When you buy one of each, you get a box of Mystery Max free. And for all of our Smart Chip customers, including promoters and customers, when you buy one of each of the Celebration or Fairy Dust, you get a surprise box of Max free also. And did you guys happen to see that Mexico trip posted? Did anyone see that? Yeah, who's joining me on that? Because I plan on winning that. So there's 8 winners. So I need 7 friends to come with me. All right, so today we've got none other but our legend rock star, Brian Jaymes. So please grab some pen and paper and get ready to take some notes. All right, I'm going to go ahead and mute myself out. And Brian, please go ahead and unmute yourself. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, perfect, awesome. Can everybody hear me okay? All right, beautiful. Look at all these beautiful people on here this morning. Well, first off, here's what I want to do. I want to say thank you so much to Christina for having and hosting this week and doing such an incredible, amazing job. Christina, I've heard it from everybody all week. They're like, she is so structured, so on point. Her demeanor, her certainty, her everything is amazing. So let's give it up for Christina just being an amazing host this week. And then also big thanks to Nick Couch. Thank you, Katie Rollins. Thank you, Kelsey Yigi. Thank you, Nate Justice. You guys did an awesome job this week with your training and your sharing. And remember, so, for most of you, as I think we had talked about previously, is, the goal here is not to participate. The goal is do you envision yourself on the next 90-day run, not just, being on the other side. And remember, it's about your mindset. Where it starts is in your mind. So before you actually do it, you have to think it, right? You have to think bigger, right? The magic of thinking big, which I'm going to come back to. But is it okay, first off, by the way, if Brian's goal today is just to calm down and deliver you, because I know sometimes I get fired up, I get a little preachy, and that's just because of the conviction that's inside of me. Why? Because, I know what it takes to really win on a big level, but I also know what you have to go through to get there. And sometimes when you've gone through it, you're super passionate about it. And sometimes you just get a little bit carried away. And I never want to, I always want to be able to relate to you. And I want to make sure that I don't come across as like, unrelatable, I guess, which at the same time could not maybe not inspire you, but maybe de-inspire you or demotivate you. And I never want to do that. So is it okay today? I'm actually sitting down. I'm usually standing up and I'm throwing fists and bows and everything. I'm just going to sit down and talk today. Is that okay? Is everybody okay with me? Okay, I'm going to try not to raise my voice too many times. I'm trying not to, I'm going to clean up my language. So if your kids are around on Friday, let me just, you can leave them on for Uncle B, okay? So, first and foremost, it's that mindset of what do you want, right? What are the things you want to accomplish? So participation, it's not just you jumping in and say, I want to do something. It's first thinking it and believing it. So, do you see yourself in the future being in a position to be able to teach, to share, to coach based on the experience and the results and the conviction that you have? But first you have to think it, right? So that's where it all starts. And that's where it started for me. I know that some of the confidence that you see today, it was funny as I was looking back and reflecting, it's crazy how you can pick up a book. I've read this book a few times now, but here's what, so this book it's very sentimental to me. And here's the reason why. This is the first book that Brian Jaymes ever read cover to cover. I never read one going through school. I was that person in school that just wasn't interested in school. And to be honest with you, I was the one that, took as many shortcuts as humanly possible. I really, truly did. I wasn't into traditional education. I didn't pay attention. I always thought there's got to be more, than this structure. But the bottom line is this is the first book that I ever read. And this book absolutely changed my life. But at the same time, it's kind of scary because as I go back and read chapters 2, 12, and 13, I go back and remember where I was when I was 23 years old in the Marine Corps. No, I wanted more out of my life. No, I wanted something bigger. No, I wanted better. But at the same time, I was a selfish a-hole. I was, I had a different mentality of, I didn't really want to help people. I would just as soon run you over to get what I wanted. I was not confident in myself in certain areas. Being in the Marine Corps, I created confidence through in my physical body and my ability to perform physically and achieve in that realm. But when it came to, having an educated conversation with people or inspiring people, I just have to let you know that when I first read this book, I was not even close to the person in the things and the mindset that I have today. To be very honest with you, I look back at some of my experiences and my relationships and whatever at that time, and I'm like, I feel ashamed. I feel like, man, dude, how you've come a really, really long way. So my point is that wherever you decide to start your journey, and I'm just going to be super transparent with everybody, a year from now, it doesn't matter if you're here at Pruvit or not. It doesn't matter, 5 years from now, if you decide what I would hope for everybody, because I believe in the law of the universe. I believe in reaping and sowing. I believe that there are things that you're going to have to do and learn and understand. And there's certain principles that come into play that you're going to need to apply those principles to become successful. Like, it doesn't matter what you do. Some of you are going to go on to different things. But here's what I promise you is that the same success is universal. Like, this book is going to help you in whatever that you do. The mindset that you start to develop is going to help you in whatever that whatever you do. And my wish for everybody is to become wildly successful, for you guys to set big goals and to achieve those goals. Right. And I truly mean that. Like, if it's somewhere else, great. But I don't want to ever mislead you and make you think that, hey, this is the only way. And, you need to be connected to somebody here in order to have success, because that's just not true. At some point, you're going to have to learn how to free solo. And I'm actually going to mention that because that's what really inspired me to kind of share with you guys today. Have any of you watched the movie, the documentary, as I would say, it's like won tons of awards, is the documentary Free Solo? Anybody? Type in the chat if you have. Okay, beautiful. So your call to action today is going to be to watch a movie. Yeah, you excited, huh? Beautiful. Hold on, let me see. Did anyone in the chat, put in the chat if you have. Yes, hold on. Okay, some of you have. I'm loving the books. Okay, all right, that's talking about this. Okay, so here's the whole premise. Free Solo, I heard about his story like 4 years ago, where I watched a different documentary, kind of a low quality documentary, but it was so crazy because here's what this dude was doing. Has anyone ever done rappelling or climbing and, use rope climbing? Anybody? Yes? No? Okay. I want you to think about this. I want you to think about a massive mountain, a massive cliffside. And I've done this a few times. I did it in the Marine Corps, and it was intimidating. But here's the thing. I had a rope, right? So when you're climbing or when you're descending, you actually are attached to a rope. And that rope, in my mind, because it's crazy. You guys so into personal development and everything, you can't even watch a movie without like taking notes. You're watching a movie and I'm like pulling out my phone and I'm like, oh, that was a good quote, or that was a good line, or man, I relate to that, or that's super inspiring, right? Literally, I can't even watch a movie without like, God, this would be a great mindset training. This would be great for this application or that. So cool. Some of you agree with me. You do it too. So the whole point is free solo means that he climbs these insane pitches and traverses in these mountains without a rope. So do you know what that equates to? I love it because one of the guys in the documentary said it's like being in the Olympics, and if you don't win the gold medal, you die. Like, there is no second place. There is no third place. I want you to think about it for a second, right? You're climbing up something that you're not secure in any way. There's no safety net. There's no rope. That's what he does. And this movie, I'm telling you, it will put your throat down in your gut or bring your gut up to your throat. I kid you not. When my wife was watching it, she's like, oh my God, I can't look. And honestly, as I got towards the end of the movie and the one section, like literally my stomach was feeling the same way because you can see how steep it is and you can see the things that he's having to do. And it's amazing. And I'm going to make, I want to try to relate to you a little bit on this. And when you watch the movie, it's going to start coming alive. So I'm not going to spend too much time on it because I want you to watch it and then we'll revisit it next week. But I want you to think of that rope, and I want you to think of potentially a safety net. That's the action that you have to take. That's the coach. That's the support system. That's the things that you use to develop yourself till you get into a point where you're going to have to get rid of the rope. You're going to have to get rid of the safety net. If you want to achieve the goals that you set forward for yourself, then you're going to have to get rid of those things. And most of you have such a tight grip on them that I'm just telling you, while some of us, we do need a coach and we do need a system and we do need a platform originally. It's kind of like the people, have you ever heard of, what are they called? People that like personal development groupies. Like they go to their first personal development thing and that's all they do is personal development things. They never go out and actually personally develop. It's like people that I have a buddy of mine that has read more success principle books than any. I mean, he's probably read literally 100 times more than me, of the best books that I've ever read multiple times. And here's what's so crazy. Here's what I still see in his life 13 years later. He's still unwilling to get rid of the safety net. He's still unwilling to get rid of the rope. Like, he has probably more knowledge and more, could have more certainty, but he'll never know that until he gets rid of those things, until he gets rid of the things that are supporting him. Because initially, you understand this, is that initially the things that support you will ultimately be the things that eventually hold you back. Think about that for a minute. Because if you're still attached to the same rope, you'll never be able to go onto the next bigger mountain. You'll never be able to go on to the next biggest place. If I could do anything today, it's to free you up. It's to give you personal power. It's to help you understand that, listen, if it's to be, it's up to me. It's not going to be a coach. It's not going to be a training. It's not going to be even a company. It's because you could go to any other company and have success. You could go do something completely different in a completely different realm and have success. You have to first believe in you. But there's certain things that you're going to have to do in order to get to that point of certainty, in order to get to that point of results and success. So, one thing he talks about is he said, as I've, taken different notes in here, and you guys know, like, what you get Monday through Thursday, you get a lot of great attitude, you get a lot of great mindset, but you also get great technique. And here's the thing. And if you've heard me talk about this before, what is success? In my opinion, success is 98% attitude and 2% technique. You could have the best, Katie Rollins and Nick Couch and, Christina, they could give you the best technique in the world. But the thing is if you don't have the attitude to deliver the technique, your results are not going to be what you want them to be, right? Like once you think about when you were first, I don't know, you use the example of dating or whatever, I don't know. But the point is it's not what you say, but it's how you say it, right? It's your conviction. It's your transference of energy and feeling, right? Those things are more important than what you say, folks, like way more important, but it comes from your certainty. And I'm going to come back and give you a great example of this, or hopefully what's a great example of this. So he talks about in there warrior culture. He said, I love it because he said, here's the thing. He said, I don't see the risk as being high. He said, but I see the consequences as outweigh. I look at it in the lens of consequence versus in the lens of risk. Because if you'll notice in there, this dude is insanely calculated. He said, I'm not just pushing myself mindlessly until I, fall and die. He says, I practice. And if you watch it, he's so meticulous. His life is dedicated to the achievement of this specific or these specific goals that he set for himself, right? And I'm going to come back and come full circle with this, but just hang with me here for a second. He said, I love it because I see the risk as being low because of how much I'm committed to it and how much I control my mindset and how much I practice and how much action that I take. So I see the risk as being incredibly low. However, if I don't achieve my goal, I see the consequences being incredibly high. So we think of everything, and 9 times out of 10, we're afraid to do something because, I'm risking too much, or I'm risking everything. And maybe in traditional business, that's the case. If you've taken your last, 13 years of income or your saved up 401k or whatever, and you put it all into a traditional business, that's everything that you have, right? It's like you got rid of your safety net. If this doesn't work, guess what? I'm back to square one 13 or 14 years later, and everything that I saved up is on the line. Now, I'll be honest with you. Like when I first got started here, I was $250,000 in debt. So did I put everything on the line when I bought my $350 VIP pack? Yes, I did. Or $399 VIP pack. Yes, I did. And the point is why was Brian probably more successful in Pruvit than anything in the past? Was it that I had developed more skills? Was it that I had developed more certainty? All that plays a factor, but I will tell you the number one factor is this, is that I did not have a parachute. I did not have a net. I did not have anything to fall back on. When I started this career, I still had the Marine Corps. I still had whatever. But here's what's cool. Thank God I did, because I think it's also, you have to be responsible. If you watch or if you read the book, The Outliers, right? Or if you read some of these other books, it talks about, you think some people take crazy risks, but they really don't. They're so calculated. They're so practiced. They have taken so much action that their certainty is super high. So I'm just trying to help you understand that sometimes you think people are taking massive risks and your perception of what they're doing is a massive risk, but to them, they don't look at it that way at all. Is this making some sense? Am I making some sense to you guys? Okay, I'm going to bring it back around and hopefully it'll make a lot more sense. So I want you to think about this. And what do I mean by, how could you gain the same mindset of, risk versus consequence? Well, I want you to think about this. If you do something enough to achieve the goals that you set forward for yourself and you gain certainty in it, I promise you, it won't feel as risky as it does when you first get started. What does BU say? He says, everyone starts the same place, right? They start scared, right? They're uncertain of themselves. So they're scared, right? Literally. And it's okay to be scared. That's perfectly fine. But we work to get to a point where we have gained more certainty through the process. So that's ultimately where you have to, that's where you have to go. So I want to help you understand it this way. Risk versus consequence. So I want you to think about the things and the goals that you've set for yourself already. Like, what goals have you set for yourself? And I mentioned this before. If you can't tie your emotions to your goals, I don't really think they're your goals. Like, I don't think they're your goals. And for me, if you want me to, would anyone like to know what my goals were, or what drove me? It was one thing. I promise you this. It wasn't big houses. It wasn't cars. It wasn't fancy clothes. It definitely wasn't purses. I've never been into purses. Okay. It was never any of those things. It really wasn't. It was, for me, I'll just be honest with you, it was freedom. After 8 years in the Marine Corps, when you fight for someone else's freedom, you lack massive amounts of freedom yourself. It's like an extended mom and dad for like 8 years. It's like you leave high school with your mom and dad to have another mom and dad, which is the United States government, whatever branch of military you're in. But it was awesome because it gave me structure, it gave me support, and it gave me an environment for me to be able to start growing, furthering my mindset, if you will. But at some point, all I wanted to be was just free, because I've been in the military. I've worked after the Marine Corps. I worked a corporate Fortune 50 job with a company, Boeing. I worked. I've started all those things, and everything that I've tried has been in the pursuit of one thing: just being free. Literally, just freedom for me. It's literally doing what I want, when I want, and not having scarcity in my life. Having enough, or not just having enough, but having the things that allow me to just be free. To be free, my mindset to be free, and not have to worry about anything. Like that feeling that I got when I was 10 minutes late for work and I had to start thinking about all these different excuses of what I was going to lie and tell somebody, violating my own integrity, my own manhood, my own everything in the process. I'm like, how is this living? Like, how is this? It's not. And I know some of you have felt that way before, and it sucks. I wanted to be free. I knew that one day I was going to have kids, and when I had kids, I wanted to have the freedom to not be told when I can spend time with my kids. I wanted to give them the best of me, not the leftovers. Same with my wife. Same with my family. And I've incorporated them into my goals in my life because it's important to me. Those are the things that absolutely are. That's what for me, I'm willing to get rid of the safety net for them. I'm willing to get rid of the rope for them, if that makes sense. So if your goal here is just simply rank driven, if it's rank driven, now it's okay if your goals, if you look at the lifestyle somebody's achieved through a certain rank and you attach that to something you want to achieve, that's fine. But I promise you, it's not the rank that you're ultimately chasing. It's what the rank is going to provide. So get that rank mindset out of your head and say, hey, what are the things that I actually want to achieve, and what do I need to achieve in order to get the goals and the outcomes I've set for myself? So I want to give you a tale of two people. And, I want you to think about that. If you interviewed right now, if you took, two 80-year-old individuals and you interviewed them, and you interviewed the one that literally they never got rid of the safety net. They never went for it. They were always lacking belief and faith that they could achieve it. I could give you a million different reasons, but for whatever reason, they decided to play it safe. For 80 years, they decided to play it safe. That's what they decided to do. And then someone else that literally went for it, and most likely went for it more than once. And here's the thing, maybe at 80 years old, they both have the same to show for it on the outside, but I guarantee you, if you were to interview those two people, the one will give you all the regrets that they have, and the other one will tell you all of the experiences that they gained, right? It will be a totally different interview. Why? Because one doesn't have any regrets. Even if they didn't achieve it, they went for it. There was another show I watched last night where he said, listen, you gave up. Here was the line. He said, listen, you gave up. You were willing to cut a deal. You gave up. He said, well, what if we would have lost? He said, then you could have left with your head held high. And you know what? I would have been able to live with that. But you weren't willing to fight. You weren't willing to keep going. It stuck with me. I can't listen to anything or do anything without these damn things sticking with me. So point being is I think about that. Is it better to try and fail than to have never tried? Based on my experience, the only reason that I'm at where I'm at today is because I've tried and failed more than you. That's it. You want to know the secret? Is I've effed up way more than I've succeeded. Just telling you. You ask Michael Rutherford, he'll tell you the exact same thing. The exact same thing. So I want to go to this. So here's what's awesome, because if you're reading this book is starting to develop your mindset, right? Because it's not just enough to give you the technique to do something. You have to develop the mindset along the way. So as we talk about, goals and things that you need to set, because I'm going to give you an action. I'm going to give you a chart. This brings this all full circle. So I want to go to a couple quotes in this book because they hit me like a ton of bricks. Hold on here. Dang it, I lost it. Okay, here we go. So, by the way, how many of you are loving this book? Imagine Thinking Big. Amazing? Okay, beautiful. So, I love it because I can relate to so much of this along the way. Believe it can be done. When you believe something can be done, really believe. Your mind will find the ways to do it. Believing a solution paves the way to the solution. So it's all about belief. It's all about mindset, right? The mind is what the mind is fed. The mind is what the mind is fed. What are you feeding your mind on a daily basis, right? Action cures fear. I love it. Not only does action cure fear, but the way my mentor always told me, he said, action makes you positive, inaction makes you negative. Test it out for yourself, and it feels like that way every time, right? Look at the things not as they are, but as they can be. Visualization adds value to everything. A big thinker always visualizes that he or she, of what can be done in the future. He or she isn't stuck in the present. You have to think and talk about how you want things, not how they are, right? Jen corrects me all the time. And you have to, hopefully you do have someone in your life that corrects you and doesn't allow you to just be average. They push you and challenge you. And sometimes you have to set them up and say, hey, listen, this is my typical pattern language. Could you hold me accountable to having better pattern language, to speaking how things are going to be, not versus necessarily how they are? Hope is a start, but hope needs action to win victories. The thinking that guides your intelligence is much more important than how much intelligence you have. What do we say, right? Success is 2% technique and 98% attitude. 98% attitude and 2% technique. Let me read it again. The thinking that guides your intelligence, the thinking and the attitude that guides your intelligence is much more important than how much intelligence you have. That should resonate, right? Where there's a will, there's a way. Most of us make two basic errors with respect to intelligence. We underestimate our own brain power, and we overestimate the other fellow's brain power. What does that mean? When you look at somebody that's being edified for a rank, or they're a legend or a 10 or a 9, here's what I'm gonna tell you. There is many of you in here that are smarter than me, that are better than me in multiple ways. You just have to be willing to say, hey, Brian was in the same place, or so-and-so that I follow is in the same place. I can be, and I probably am even better than them when it comes to my brain power. We totally overestimate others. Those who believe they can move mountains do. Those who believe they can't, don't and cannot. Look at things as they can be, not as they are. Think you are weak. Think you lack what it takes. Think you will lose. Think you are second class. Think this way, and you are doomed to mediocrity. Build castles, don't dig graves. Love that one. When you believe, your mind will find a way to achieve it. Will find a way to do it. I could go on and on and on and on and on. Belief triggers the power to do. Now, let me bring all this full circle, because I could spit, and sometimes, sorry, when I do just sit down and talk. And by the way, we have 1 minute. Christina, everybody, do I have permission to go literally 2 more minutes? Okay, beautiful. So here's what I want to do. You guys have seen me before. You've seen me train and give you insight on the momentum cycle, right? Right? We talk about the momentum cycle and the 4 blocks of the momentum cycle. Potential leads to action. Action leads to result. Results lead to belief. And the more belief that you have now, the more potential you feel like you have. Tony Robbins teaches that better than anybody ever, right? But has anyone seen me cover that, right? There's probably even a couple videos and trainings. Okay. I want to dig into it even a little bit more for you, because for me, this brings it to life and it fills in any of the gaps. And, sometimes if you didn't watch the movie I'm referring to, you feel a little bit lost. And I don't always do a great job of illustrating things theatrical. There's a lot of better storytellers in here than me. But when you watch it, you'll go back and say, oh my gosh, aha, amazing, amazing, awesome. That's why it's part of your call to action. But I want to bring all this back to you full circle because it resonated with me big time. And it may not resonate with you as much, but what that identifies is that you need to start digging more into your heart, your emotions, the things that you truly want to achieve. Because I promise you that is if you don't, if right now you can't relate to those things, there's something wrong. There's some layers you need to peel back and things that you need to dig into to start shifting your mindset, which will also shift your heart and your intention. So here's what it is for me. And it goes in a cycle, right? So hang with me here. Can y'all see the board okay? I'm going to pull it up here even a little closer. All right. So here's where we start. I love it because Christina started with it today. And that's, I think there's 2 T's. Gratitude, okay? Gratitude, right? We start with gratitude. So where can you start today as soon as we're done here? You can start today. Sometimes, Christina initiated it, and she initiated, so therefore you did it. At some point, you're going to have to do it and initiate it on your own. It can't be someone giving you a command and you following. You have to be the one that initiates it. So, everything that this is a big tip. This is a big trick, if you will. And I didn't understand this for a long time because I was always looking at what I didn't have. I wasn't grateful for the things that I did have. I wasn't thankful for the opportunity. Because sometimes while right now you're looking at how things are, it's okay. It's sometimes hard to go to a place of gratitude because you're so hurting, whether it's financially, mentally, relationally, emotionally. Sometimes when you're hurt, it's hard to go to a place of gratitude. But I will tell you, those are the times where gratitude is the most important piece, right? So instead of thinking about, oh my gosh, I don't want to go to the gym today, go and look at somebody that doesn't have the capacity to go physically work their body, right? Or go watch the video of what's his name that has no legs and arm. Like, it will immediately send you to a place where I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what do I have to complain about? Like, I need to do this. So gratitude is number 1. Next, and you heard me say it all the time, and I'll continue to preach it because I literally failed and didn't believe in goals for such a long time. But if you go first and start with a foundation of gratitude, that will allow you to really start digging into goals. And from goal standpoint, not like you see in stupid memes and images and somebody posts a picture of a castle and all this other garbage. No, like, what are the things for you that you, number 1, need and number 2, want, right? And I want you to constantly think about it. And what scared the crap out of me when I first did this was somebody told me to do an exercise where you calculate, hey, I think I'll live, or the average person in my family lives to be this long. And then you subtract and calculate and total up the amount of time that you potentially have left on this earth. And then it's like, oh my gosh, it's not as much as I thought. And therefore, what am I going to do with the time that I have left? So whatever you have to do, whatever exercise you have to do to get into the emotional, heart-driven things that you want in your life and that you need to do whatever you need to do to trigger those things, right? Because your goals have to be real. Because here's what I promise you. At some point when you get challenged, if your goals are not big enough and they're not emotionally tied in, you will quit, you will stop, you will delay. I promise you that, right? Your goals are a great filter to truly find out what is it that really drives your action. So next, and I know Christine loves this one, is manifestation. Okay, here's how I look at manifestation, because that word was kind of a hippie word when I first experienced it. But here's what it is for me. Like, I'm to the point now in my life where goal setting is so important for me is that sometimes I have to delay setting certain goals. Check this out. This was not me for a long time. I refused to set goals for the longest time. I was the guy that went out, took a lot of action, threw mud up against the wall to see what would stick. Check this out. I am to the point now where I'm so reliant on goals that sometimes I'm hesitant and I need to have conversations with my family and things before I set certain goals, because check this out. I am so certain about my ability to be able to achieve those goals. I will absolutely not Manifestation. I will obsess over those things until I get them. If you look at my track record of goal setting for the last 5 years, I get everything that I freaking want. I get everything that I freaking need. I get it. Why? Because I set it as a goal. It's emotionally tied to me, and I don't just manifest it. And check this out. Here's how you know if you're setting big goals or not. Is if when you go to bed, you can't go to sleep because you just keep running over. It's like if you've ever thought, oh my gosh, what if I win the lottery? What was the first thing I would buy? What's the first thing I would do? What would my life look like? How would it be different? How will my life be different if I achieve these things? Like I can't, it spins in my head. I literally, after I set goals or after I do goal setting for the year or check it for the quarter or whatever, review it daily, literally I get less sleep. Because I'm like, this stuff, like I obsess, I don't just manifest over it, but I obsess over it. And check this out. I have to ask sometimes if my family, because for me, I believe in vertical alignment. I believe in my God. I believe in my family. I believe in my country. I believe in things that are important to me, right? And here's the thing. Sometimes I have to ask myself, am I putting my goal or these things above any of these things, or am I doing it for these things? Because remember, your goals should never be in conflict with your beliefs. Your goals should synergistically work with your beliefs. You understand? Like, there's too many people that set shit goals, and here's the problem. They're like, it's conflicting with, I don't want to put, no, it's not an excuse anymore. You can't use excuse-itis. You either do it for, all right? You either do it for, and if you do it for, it never conflicts with. Never, right? So sorry, I'm going a little bit more than the 2 minutes. So manifestation for me becomes obsession. And here's the thing, if it's a goal, I'm so certain that I'm going to get the goal. I know what needs to be done, the time that needs to be invested, the amount of sleep that needs to be lost, the personal things I love to do to be pushed aside. I know what it takes to get it, and I will get it at all costs. And now I'm to the point where I don't want to compromise my vertical alignment in order to get the goals I've set for myself. All of you will eventually get to that point where you have to be, literally, you have to be careful setting goals, right? You have to be careful setting your goals. Manifestation will lead and feed your belief. Your belief, your faith, right? You have to believe it. And many of you, if you set goals and if you're grateful, you set goals, you're manifesting and obsessing over those goals, you'll start to believe it before it even comes to fruition. You'll say, you know what? This is possible. There's massive potential here. I have the faith in the belief. You know, I watched Christina from the ground because I was too fat. I watched Christina from the ground jump out of as they say, a perfectly good airplane in Dubai. I watched a bunch of my other friends do it as well. I was very jealous because I wanted to do it as well. Christina, just give me a head shake. Would you have jumped out of that plane if you did not have the faith and belief that that parachute would open? No, you all saw what she said. She said a bad word, okay? She said, F no. There's no way, right? And it's the same thing here. Like, you have to believe it before you freaking do it. That's a big piece of it, because your belief, you have to first have the belief before you get to the next place, which is the action. The action. Your belief feeds your action. Now, this is important because how you think about action right now is flawed. What do I mean by that? We have been programmed to think, we've been programmed to think that success is over here and failure is over here. So we need to take action to get to success, and we need to take actions that avoid failure over here. That is not accurate. Success and failure are both over there. Success and failure are both over there. You have to go through failure to get to success. You have to take a bunch of filtering actions. You have to practice over and over and over again. It's like when you watch Free Solo and you realize when he makes that climb, he has absolute certainty. And here's the reason why. He's practiced it. He takes notes. He literally says he can envision in his mind every step that he needs to take up the way of one of the highest Free Solo, mountains, or El Capitan, which they call it in Yosemite. He literally says right foothold, left thumb. He's so practiced out. He's like, listen, it's low risk for me because I know it. It's low risk for me because I know it. The consequences if I don't achieve it are incredibly high, but the risk is low because I've practiced it with a rope. I've practiced it over and over. I've obsessed about this goal, and I've done it over and over and over again, over and over and over again until I've accomplished it. And I'm not going to dig into some things because there's some things you're going to look at where he's like, he makes some comments where you're like, that's insensitive, or that's not cool, or, oh, he puts this goal above his girlfriend, or this beat before this, or this, lives in a van to accomplish his goal before. My point is this, he had a massive goal, and what it took to get there was going to be massive sacrifice. And he was willing to do it in order to achieve the goal. And I want you to put that in a place of, what happens if I don't achieve the things that I set? What happens to my family in scenario A? But then what happens to my family if I do achieve in scenario B? Right? I'm sorry. I'm way, way, way over time. Is it okay? Am I okay to keep going? Okay. I only have 2 more. So your action will then lead to your results. Your results. Now remember, action, stop thinking about action as a win or a lose, you can't think about it that way. Action is practice. So when you get started, that's why some people aren't around anymore, because the 5 people they decided to reach out to were all no's when they didn't realize they're not no's. It's just letting you know who not to work with out of the how many ever billion people that exist on this planet. Literally. You saw me last week when I did the aces, right? Some of you are, oh, Brian, that was really clever to put all the aces in the back. Yo, check this out. You saw me shuffle the cards. I didn't put the damn aces in the back. The aces just happened to be in the back. And here's what's funny. Out of 14 years, I know I've been with Pruvit for 4 years, but check this out. Over 14 years, my aces just started coming in the last 4 of the 14. Think about it that way. Think about it on a bigger scale. Think about all the things that you've tried, failed, and adjusted in life. It doesn't just have to be in this industry, right? So the results are going to come in direct proportion to the action that you're taking. And in the beginning, you have to take massive action to get used to taking action. And the more you believe that it's a filter, and the more you understand you have to go through failure to get to success in order to get to achievement, then it won't be as intimidating, right? It's like the book Go for No. It's a simple, small, easy book, but the mindset it breeds is phenomenal, because now I'm not afraid of no anymore. Now I'm not afraid of failure anymore because of that tiny little book. It's crazy how it all comes back to books. And here's the big one. Certainty. 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 If you can be grateful for what you have and the potential that you have to achieve, and in the country you live in, and the family you live in, and all the situations, all the things that you've been blessed with, if you can think about all the things you're grateful for, and then you can go set goals. And I would challenge you to set big goals, because here's the thing. If they're not tied to you emotionally, if they're not real, if you don't think about, if they don't help, if you don't lose sleep, right? If you don't obsess of them every night you go to bed, or catch yourself in the daytime daydreaming about them, then you have not set good goals. That goals leads to the manifestation and the obsession of the things that you want and the things that you want to achieve and that you need. The manifestation and the obsession leads to having belief. I believe that I can get those things. I believe that I can do it. That belief leads to the action that you're willing to take, right? The action that you're willing to take, and understanding, hey, listen, the action is required in order for me to get the results, and they should not be intimidating. They should be inspiring. And when I start achieving results, the more and more I achieve results, like when I started to tie my shoes, or when I started to play an instrument, or when I started to do anything, when I started to surf, when I started to whatever it is that you're good at doing, you have to understand that you have to practice it. You have to do it over and over and over again. And the results will continually develop your certainty. First time I got into the Pacific Ocean to surf, I was so intimidated. I was so in my own head. I so did not have belief. And it transferred immediately into me flopping like a freaking fish out. It was I'm glad nobody was really watching me, because it was quite embarrassing. Now I have no problem jumping on my golf cart, putting on my surfboard, going down to the ocean, jumping right in and paddling after the first wave. Why? Because I've done it for years and years and years and years. And I have the confidence in the outcome. I have certainty in what I'm doing, right? People follow certainty. For some of you, you wonder why Why am I not able to build a bigger team? Why do I not feel like I'm an efficient enough leader? Why? Because you lack certainty. Certainty will come across now in your actions and everything that you do. Certainty, here's what's crazy. Here's why it's a cycle. Because certainty leads to what? Now that you're more certain, you literally go deeper in your gratitude. You think bigger. You think globally versus your tiny little self. You think more about your family. You think more about, you know, your community. You think more about than just yourself. Certainty, believe it or not, will take the lid off of how you're thinking, and you'll stop thinking so inwardly and so selfishly, and you'll start thinking more about others, right? And that will lead to more gratitude. More gratitude will lead to you have more certainty in your goals. You'll have more certainty in your manifestation. You'll have more certainty in your beliefs. You'll have more certainty in your actions, right? And therefore, you'll have more certainty in your results, and people follow certainty, right? You look at people out there that you admire and you want to follow and Pruvit or anywhere else, and here's one thing that they all have in common. They have an absolute, unbelievable amount of certainty. They're very certain about their outcomes and what they have the ability to achieve. That's where we need to get to. So my apologies that, some of this felt all over the place, because I felt all over the place because I was trying to tie 3 different things in together, but hopefully that fills in some of the gaps. Like, this is just a roadmap for you to follow, but ultimately it's not about the techniques. It's not about if you're saying the right thing or sending the right thing out on social media or saying the right thing when you meet someone belly. It's not about any of those things. It's about the mindset that you have, right? And it's about this cycle that you go through. You're a constant work in progress. And eventually, here's the last thing I'm going to leave you with. Eventually, you're going to have to get rid of the road. You're eventually going to have to want it and need to do it for yourself, right? At some point, the follower had to step up and be the leader. At some point in the life cycle, right, the person, and sometimes it's okay. Sometimes the person that you're following, sometimes the person that you're following, it's okay for you to be better. It's okay for you to be bigger. It's the same thing with kids. I want Nevaeh Jaymes to be better than me in every way, shape, or form, and I will support her in doing that. But here's what I also realize. At some point, as I hopefully provide the best support system possible and this best inspiration for her as possible, eventually, I'm going to have to remove myself. If she won't remove me, I'm going to have to remove me. And I don't even want to think about that because it almost brings me to freaking tears and hits me in the middle of the heart. But I'm like, it's going to be the best thing for her, right? I'm giving you all permission today to win. I'm giving you all permission today to do bigger and better things than I could ever even dream of, because you all have the potential. I promise you that, right? So thank y'all for spending Friday with me. Sorry, I took a little bit more time, but y'all are amazing. I love you, and I truly believe, and I'm being dead serious. You don't need anybody. If it's to be, it's up to me. If you have support, great. Be grateful and thankful for it. But understand, eventually it has to be about how big you're thinking, right? And how you put this into play. So with that, y'all are amazing. Have a great Friday. Christina's super structured. So right now I'm going to get a big lashing after this. But anyways, thank you so much. And have a great weekend. We'll see y'all on Monday.
All right. Bye, guys. Have a great weekend. Watch that movie.